Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Outerview with Professor Les Henry, where reason comes first. And today is an honor and a privilege to welcome my brother, Tony Warner. Brother Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Yeah. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I organize a group called Black History Walks, and we run walks, talks, films, bus tours, and river cruises on the Black history of London every single month, all year long. I've been doing it for the last 13 years, and we cover 12 different parts of London, as well as doing a 3-hour cruise and a 3-hour bus tour all over London. So we do walks, talks, and films each month on Black history all year long.
Okay. And on that very point, because of something that's happened over the last few days, what is your take on removing statues? And the reason why I asked that, before you answer, the reason why I asked you that is because I've been on your tours, and the central point is correcting those histories.
No, I think it's a good idea. I mean, there are statues up there right now to mass murdering, rapists, racist, psychopaths. So why would you want to have that there as a constant kind of reminder of your bestial behavior back in the old days, so to speak? Because it actually suggests that you condone that behavior right now. I think it's kind of useful for us to use this time to inform people as to the real history behind these statues. Because so like today, we sent out a newsletter listing about 8 different areas and venues, like Bearings Road in down there in Blackheath, Manor House, I think is at Blackheath as well.
Manor House in Lee.
The Guildhall. All these places are scenes of memory of a Holocaust for the African population. So I don't have a problem with statues being taken down. And I think what we should be thinking about is how do we get some statues of some Black people up in this place across the country to show that the long history of Black people in this country going back 2,000 years and more.
Okay. Because for me, I'll be honest with you, I would prefer them to stay. And the reason why is because then you've actually got a central and a focal point. So, for instance, when I was lecturing at Goldsmiths College, and I know, Prof. Les Batt does this all the time, we would take the students to Deptford Town Hall and we would say, look up there, there's Hawkins with a bound slave. Those are such teachable moments for me. And when the statues have gone and they've changed all the names of the roads, that blood, as they say, every building in Bristol was cemented with the blood of a slave. It's a famous thing.
Yeah.
But then you're going to have to abstract it because that concrete artifact isn't going to be there. But it was just something I kind of find interesting because it's almost like Prof. Jeff Palmer said it yesterday. In 50 years, people will probably not even know that history was there.
That's possible. I mean, but the thing is, for me, I can still use the building. So I can use the National Gallery, start off with slave purchase paintings. I can use South Africa House. That house is literally built with money from African people that can't even go in their own country. So you can West India dock, the whole dock was built with Caribbean sugar money. So I can still tell that story.
So we've still got enough around, hopefully.
Oh, because they're not going to take down Nelson anytime soon, that's for sure. That's going to be there for a little while longer. So I can always point to him and talk his background.
Yeah. Okay. Because again, for me, it's about reasoning through these things because as I said, what I notice on the TV and the media, which is what we expect, you just get that, and that's the thing, and that's it. And they'll get, these people to oftentimes present some very uninformed arguments, because I've heard some very uninformed arguments where, for me, people are actually endorsing the stuff they're supposed to be critiquing, but there you go. And you are actually at the center of that. So for me, you are in a perfect position to represent that alternative.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think many of the others are, in my
That's true. I mean, our walk's about 2 hours long and it's all kind of interactive. So sometimes you're literally looking at the ground and saying, look, this ground here was built with asphalt from Trinidad that I never paid for. So the history is right there. It's all of it's just a question of being aware and connecting the dots. And I can do that. And as long as there's some sort of physical evidence, I can do it because you can, it's just there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of the unique things about your walks, because I've been on walks and talks and stuff before. And that is one of the unique things, because sometimes it's those little mundane aspects that people just would not be aware of, and you're thinking, you know, this is really significant. The thing I wanted to ask you, you wanted to discuss Black Friday. Why is that?
Well, I was thinking in this time of coronavirus, whatever, you have time to think and reflect. And also, I've just finished my book. I've just finished my 90,000 word book on Black
No,
history.
that's a doctoral thesis. You could have got a PhD for that. You know?
Yes, Dr. Tony Warner.
You could have, because a doctoral thesis is anything between what, 70 to 100,000 words.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get one from, maybe Goldsmith will help me out. I'll write to Goldsmith and say, listen, help me with a PhD.
Yeah.
Because you know what they're like, right? They had a whole bunch of bloody racist problems just last year and demonstrations and sit-ins, all the rest of it.
Absolutely.
But I want to talk about Black Fridays because I was just thinking that back in, was it the late
2006,
90s?
I created it in 2006 to fight the Wilberforce, which was coming up in 2007.
Okay.
So we had a year of talks leading up to, you know, the so-called Wilberfest, Wilberforce, and it was Brother Hakeem who said to me, "Nah, man, call it the Wilberforce, because that's what it is. It's a farce."
I just remember it being, well, it was a cool place to go on a Friday night. And you can still go raving afterwards if you want to, but it was a place to go and just chill out and learn. And that's how I got to meet Andrew Mohammed. That's how I got to meet you. That's how I got to meet all these other guys whose names I forget.
Well, actually, I didn't. I met you before that. I need to correct you.
Oh.
Because I first met you in 2002 or 2003 when you arranged a talk at Goldsmiths for 100 black men. Is it coming back? And I did how black music became urban or something.
Oh, wow. Gosh,
that's when I first met you. Yeah. That's when I first met you, was there. You were the person who liaised with me to do that talk for 100 black men. Because he used to be 100 black men then.
Yeah. For about 7 years
it was Goldsmiths, and it was definitely 2000 and... I can check it out. It was around 2002, between 2002 and 2004, definitely.
Well, there you go. You see how your mind can play tricks on you, and the history can just get.
Yeah, because that's where I met you. Because in fact, I think if I get it correct, you were my first introduction to 100 Black Men.
Wow, well, I totally forgotten all of that stuff there.
Yeah. So anyway, so we digress, but it's relevant. So you were saying about the Black Fridays.
Yeah, I remember it was like a place to go and learn and reflect and hang out and meet like-minded people and just discuss all these different kind of issues to do with Black history. And it was just like a safe space to go. And I think it helped me to do what I'm doing now. So literally some of the stuff I'm doing now is just like a Black Friday on a bigger scale to a bigger audience, basically. Yeah. That's all it is, really. So in my book, I actually mentioned Black Fridays. I think it anyway. No, it's in there because it was part of the development of my awareness, consciousness, and also how to kind of, speak to a crowd, speak to people.
Yeah. Well, I give thanks for that because it's funny because one of the ways I've been describing these Outerviews is Black Friday. Because one of the crucial things about Black Friday, and when myself and my wife and my brethren Delwyn decided to do it as part of New Beyond, we said we're going to give a voice to people who are based here, who may not be familiar to the community, they may not be familiar in the wider public arena, but they have something to say. And you did enough of them for us. And the one thing we always said is be rigorous. That's it. Yeah. We just want you to be rigorous. We don't want none of this white people are the devil and bond this one and bond. We want people to be rigorous and to reason. And that's exactly what we did. And as I said, I give thanks because I learned that from the people I used to reason with. I just consolidated and put it together. But me, I know we have more than enough here. So I don't really understand why we're always importing people who never add to what we're doing. To me, it's different if you're working with someone like Anthony Browder or Marimba Annie. They would always come and put the thing in a context because they don't see it as an African-American versus a British or African-American versus a Caribbean. They try to encompass the story, which naturally is what we do. And the funny thing is, I always say this to people. I always say to them, we are some of the best placed people on the planet to speak about the diaspora, because we meet everybody here. You yourself have been to the States. You can go to the States. I went to the States and did talks. I did a talk at Howard in 2006. I was the second Jamaican those people had met. Yeah, because you see what it is, Brother Tony, we forget about how insular America is. Remember, they are the least traveled people on the planet.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they only know who they know. And what confuses us a lot of the times, and this for me was one of the central points behind Black Friday, what confuses us is we take for granted that we have friends from Trinidad, from Barbados, from nearly every island. We have Guyana, we have Nigeria, we have Ghana, we have Zambia, we have Somalia, we have everybody. You go to America, it's not like that. And in some ways, it explains why, you know, and I'll say it again for the camera, I had a major problem with Afrocentricity because it was African American centricity. And a lot of the other narratives were missing in that. And I remember people used to castigate me when I used to say, yeah, the book is fine, but where are we? Where are we? Look at how many central figures there are, from Langston Hughes, Marcus Garvey, we can reel them off, who were critical in the African-American experience, but they are often invisible in that narrative. And it was only when I met Professor Paul Gilroy and I reasoned with him, and he said, yeah, you're right. Because most of the people in the pro-Black circles was like, oh, you know, Les, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying, we're invisible, but look at what we've contributed. You think about it in the context of Malcolm X, Grenadian mother, Garvey like father.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of that was missing in those narratives. So one of the things, as I said, I wanted to discuss with you was from this British perspective. So, for instance, what is your take on let's say British civil rights in the context of what's happening now, especially about murders on film? Because people are acting like this is new.
That's what I was thinking, because I've noticed that I've been watching a lot of mainstream coverage, and the way they treat the subject as if it's something that's just happened now in America, and why you lot in this country getting all bent out of shape over it. And I'm thinking, how do you not remember what happened right here in this country? So there's a case of a guy called Christopher Alder. This is a black guy, paratrooper, ex-paratrooper, and he died in a police station in Hull in 1998. Half naked with his trousers down by his knees.
That's
and he
right.
basically choked to death. And it was captured on CCTV. First time it's ever happened, right? It's captured on CCTV, right? And there was actually a BBC broadcast of his death in custody. And the thing about that case is that the officers dry cleaned their own clothes, they destroyed his clothes, and they washed out the van they were in, and none of us went to prison. So this is 20 years ago. You have someone who chokes to death on camera in police custody. And when I'm watching the news now, I'm not seeing anyone refer back to that situation. And that's just one of many situations. I find that astonishing, astonishing that you would have this. Well, it's not an amnesia because the BBC covered it. It was a documentary on their channel.
Yeah.
So the evidence is there. Why is it not being introduced to this and put into a reference that this is also taking place in this country too?
Absolutely. And this is one of the reasons why I said at this moment, I'm refusing to do these things. Because the people who they have on there are not referencing these points. So what we do is we have what's happening in America in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And so over here, that's why when people are saying these things to me, I'm saying, but what about this and what about that? We've been agitating for these critical changes. And then people are surprised when that politician can come out the other day basically totally ignorant of what we do in the UK. Well, of course, they're not going to be, because no one seems to be going in the public arena and saying, but here's a context, here's a British context.
And it's also disrespectful to people like Brenda Weinberg and Janet Alder and Marcy Regan, all those sisters who are fighting here, and to some extent they were successful in some areas, for these civil rights or human rights that are being contested now. And it's as if their contribution never existed. And the thing is, I know the mainstream media knows their names and faces because they've been on the Times and the Guardian and TV, etc. So it's not an accident that we're not hearing these stories.
Absolutely. And crucially, there are a couple of things that you said there. One, it's definitely not an accident. And the second most crucial point is, why is it as Africans, we are encouraged to be historically amnesic? Why is that? So what I would like you to deal with is, do you think it is incumbent upon us, those of us who know, working from the grassroots or whatever, to self-educate?
I'd say 100%, because we have 50 years of evidence that in the mainstream will cover up, hide, and delete this history, even though they know it themselves. So what I've been doing, I've been running courses like you would run courses back in the day. I've been doing, I just sent a newsletter the other day, this morning actually, detailing several historical areas of racist buildings and racist streets, etc. But also looking at cases of deaths in custody of Black people, Black men in particular, in this country, with the timeline attached and the evidence attached and the documentation attached. So I'm showing people, look, this is happening in your country. How come you don't know about it? How come the BBC Night TV can't do the same research that I can do, by my little self in this little room here? And what does that tell you about their sincerity when it comes to fighting discrimination and racism?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is, again, crucially, why is it that they either want to do the research or they won't speak to the people who they know are informed? Because in the context of you, they know what you do. Your walks have been the Guardian, what is it, the Guardian or whatever it is, top.
Guardian, CNN, Condé Nast Traveler got an award for being best 15 walks in London.
Absolutely. So why is it that all of a sudden they don't know who Black History Walks is, or they don't know what Black History Walks
or Marcy Rigg, or Brendan Weinberg, or Janet Alder, all the other people who have been doing this thing long before I was even on the scene, right? And who've actually been in a situation where their family member has been killed by police officers and police officers got off of it. So why is that not on the news? Because I saw Newsnight, and they were speaking to George the Poet. I think it was Emily Maitlis was the host that time. And she's asking George about, what's the big deal over here? It's America. But and Newsnight was one of the people that actually covered all the situation, because it was everywhere at that time. Yeah. And the other thing is that for young people, when they're watching this on Newsnight, they're thinking, well, this is something new, let's organize around it. And I'm thinking there's people who've got 20, 50 years to pass on to you to understand how these people will come to you as if they don't know what's going on and and then brainwash,
Yeah. It comes to what that Home Office, Home Secretary, whatever her name is, I won't even bother to call her name, when she was talking about the Windrush, institutionalized ignorance. It's an oxymoron. How can ignorance be institutionalized? It just doesn't make any sense. I just find, to be honest, Brother Tony, I find a lot of it totally insulting.
But even that Windrush thing, right? To me, as soon as I heard about the Windrush deportations, I'm thinking back to the 70s when there were government agencies and politicians saying, send me back in 75 or whatever it was. Yeah. There was literal campaigns to say, and the National Front was saying that too. So as soon as I heard, I thought, those are the dots connected. How is it that all these kind of big multi-million-pound institutions can't make the same observation that is in your face?
Yeah. Sister Audrey sang a tune, English Girl, don't call me no English girl. And that was exactly the narrative in that tune. She did it for Ariwa, Mad Prof's label. I think that was like something like about 1985 or 84. She sang that record. And it was exactly the same thing. You invite us over and then you tell us we ain't got the right papers.
And you destroy the landing cards too, by the way.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is what you see for me, the whole point of why I want to do this is I want people to know that what they want to take up as novel or new isn't for us, because we live those experiences. As Black people of African ancestry, however we want to style ourselves, we live this. Therefore, we are at the interface. We know what is happening and we are best positioned to speak on these matters.
And it's also refreshing when we hear our stories from our voices, that's what people told me, that they find it I don't know, invigorating to hear this history from people like myself or other people who do the same sort of work, because it makes them feel, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It makes them feel as if they're connected to that past via these
Yeah,
stories that we,
yeah,
via these, this
yeah.
information.
Well, you're a living narrative connection because you've lived it. And that's the difference. If you've actually lived the experience and you can document the experience and you can say, there was this case then and there's this case in the States now. Why is everybody over here focusing on this, but seem to have forgotten that? When they've got it in their archives, they can pull it up like that.
Yeah, because you remember Rocky Bennett? Rocky Bennett was a young black guy. He died up in Norwich in 1998. And it was 5 to 7 people held him down, face down. And of course, he couldn't breathe when he died. Yeah. And there was a report out of that. His sister's called Dr. Joanna Bennett.
Yeah, I've worked with her before. I've worked with her.
You see that now? So again, these people are already out there doing their thing. And they're deliberately ignored. And it gives this kind of, this lack of awareness and confusion to people who are not told about their experiences and their contribution and their level of expertise.
Yeah.
Because, it's there.
It's strategic avoidance. Because they know. And if you do that, then you have to start to excavate the history. And then when you start to excavate the history, people will say, oh, hold on a second.
We've been here before. So why is this a big deal now?
Absolutely. But as long as they can make people think it's novel or it's new, or it doesn't really happen in England, fine. And
it would also expose the complicity of the media, that they're doing this every couple of years. They just kind of, forget that never happened. Let's talk about over America. And actually links into schools too, because you go to school here, when you get to talk about Black history, you get to talk about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King in America, but not here. And it's the same situation we're having here with what's happening now. We're hearing about George Floyd over there, but not about Rocky Bennett and Christopher Alder and Sean Ringgold and fellas.
That's right. So I don't know if there's anything you want to share about yourself that's kind of like would surprise people.
Well, I've not written a book before, so that might be a surprise from some people. And the book comes out in October. It's published by all Black British female published now. It's called Jacaranda Books. It's about 90,000 words.
What's the title of the book?
It's titled Black History Walks in London, Volume 1. So it's going to be 10 volumes, right? It's gonna be, like Gibbons did the classic Roman Empire history and there was 50 volumes, whatever. So my book is going to be like that's the first of 100. And it'll cover every single standard from a Black perspective.
Why not? Because at the end of the day, the reference point is always Peter Fryer.
Yes.
Always.
Absolutely.
Because I heard a conversation about that the other day. And I'm thinking, well, this is great because, again, you know me. You document, disseminate, discuss, whatever it is.
There was 3 Ds.
Yeah. But what is it? What do I say? Document, discuss, disseminate, or something like that.
That could be, it could be that.
Something like that.
Or discuss,
document. But you know, from day one, Brother Tony, I've always said to people, write the stuff down. Chinua Achebe said, if as African people we don't tell our own stories, we will disappear. Not we might disappear. He said we will disappear.
Yeah. And that reminds us of something again that I learned from you. It's like, remember, one time you moved from from Lewisham down to Brixton, that little kind of industrial estate there.
The Enterprise.
Enterprise bit.
When
you began to film us doing our presentations and sell the DVDs for £5 or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was my introduction to kind of Black business, so to speak, that you can make money from your knowledge, and people actually used to buy them. You used to sell out of certain topics.
Yeah, we used to sell out, and look.
Oh, wow. Fair enough.
Yeah, we used to do it, and we had our banners strictly homegrown. We sell strictly homegrown. Yeah, I'll have to dig that banner out one day.
Yes,
but
and this is before YouTube, I think it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was before YouTube then. I don't know how long YouTube's been around, but we actually started doing the DVDs and that from when we were in Catford. So from 2006, we started to put them out and sell them just because we were only like, as long as we make enough to cover the production and the blah, blah, blah. And that's what it was, But, well, the last thing I would say is, have you got a takeaway for people? something they can take away and mull over. And you've given them plenty of nuggets already.
To take away, I'd say for people is to, I don't know, follow my website, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, do your own reading, not ignore, pay attention to the mainstream, and then check with local historians who are doing the work here from a Black, British, African British perspective. Because we're doing this stuff all the time. We don't always get the backup we deserve, because sometimes you put on a really good event and no one turns up. You know what I'm saying? You put on a really good event for free and people don't bloody turn up. So I would say that's my takeaway, is get off your backside, yeah, and come to events when they're put on. And don't say you're going to come and then don't come, because that messes up the whole program.
Yeah, especially men. And I have to say, and this is actually a global phenomenon, you know, that invariably women support causes more than men.
It's true, you know. I've seen the same thing. My audience is sometimes like 70% women, even for football events. It's
yeah. But absolutely. So give thanks for the reasoning today, Brother Tony. Walk good, stay blessed, keep safe. And
all right.
This is another.
See you shortly.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man.